Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Flixie here coming at you with the Spider Man Brand New Day spoiler review. I do have a non spoiler review posted. If you want to check that out, let me know what you think. I gave the film an 8 out of 10. And now I'll start going over spoilers. I really enjoyed the Spider Man Marvel intro that they did. Instead of showing the other superheroes and all the history of Marvel, they showed the history of the Spider Man movies and everything he went through in the past. The movie does start with a time skip, and it goes over all of the things that Spider-Man's been going through the past couple years, fighting a bunch of different villains from the comics, Boomerang, Tombstone, and Scorpion. He does have an AI assistant this time, but it's not like it was before, where it was super advanced. The name is Evie, and it's just helpful with the different technology that he's building on the side, like his new web grenades. The movie starts right where the trailer shows. I thought like it was gonna show him tracing down the tanks and getting into the fight with Jean Grey later into the movie, but she starts getting into people's minds and hopping consciousness as soon as the movie starts. It gets right into the action, and you see Punisher as well. And when it shows the villain's powers, it's very scary and surreal. The way that it was directed, it does give off a lot of a horror, fear feeling. But I really enjoyed that they show Peter Parker being very muscular in this movie. He's like very buff, and I really enjoyed having a more muscular Spider-Man from the comics instead of being super leaned out. So it's nice to see a bigger Spider-Man in this movie. I love that. If you paid attention to Mesker in the beginning of the movie, he does talk about redirecting destructive energy and turning it into something useful. It's very clear that he's the villain, so that wasn't a surprise when he turned out to be the overall bad guy of the film. It was kind of a letdown because they didn't go further with his character after the movie ended. But Mesker was an okay villain, I'll say that. I think the person that steals the show the most is Punisher. He was very, very relatable in this movie. He's very funny, down to earth, but also had a darker edge to him as well, like he did in his other outings. When Punisher said, "Are you blushing, Daffodil?" I was crying. Like, my theater found that very funny. And his acting was just so good. So I want to talk a little bit about Jean Grey. I enjoyed her character in the movie, but I felt like her character wasn't necessary to telling the story that the movie was trying to tell. I also feel like they left a lot to be desired at the end. She comes into the movie, her powers get a little stronger. She has a moment with Aunt May, and then she rides the bus at the end of the movie, and it ends there. I feel like they could have done a lot more with her character, and I feel like they could have done a lot more with the movie itself and how they introduce her character into the movie. The whole VMAX plot twist just didn't work for me at all. I thought VMAX was going to be an Omega level mutant, and when I saw Hulk trying to break down the door, I thought that there was going to be something really big behind the door, and it was going to be a big reveal like another Omega level mutant. And when they revealed her sister, I thought her sister was going to be there, but then they showed that she was dead. And you find out that VMAX is just a room. And again, it's kind of a letdown. They did a lot of subverting expectations in this film that just didn't work for me when it came to Jean Grey. Speaking of subverting expectations, let's just start talking about the Hulk before I get into other parts of the movie or other characters. I came into this film expecting Grey Hulk, expecting a version of Worldbreaker Hulk. I thought that Savage Hulk was going to turn into another form based off of a lot of things that people were saying on the inside of the industry. Hulk was a huge letdown. Not only was the fight scene only a minute longer than it showed in the trailers, but he slides off the edge of the building after the fight scene and then he gets put in a mental hospital. I think that's a very poor way to handle the Hulk, and I think it's a very poor way to set up the next Avengers films. I think that they're not taking advantage of the source material whatsoever, and they ruined Hulk yet again. I'm not going to lie. I think they ruined Hulk again. They fumbled it, and I'm just not very happy with the direction that they took with the Hulk. To be honest with you, I thought that the Hulk fight was going to take place at the end, and when I saw that the Hulk fight was the second act, I was wondering what's going to happen for the next hour of the movie, and the next hour of the movie was very anticlimactic, extremely anticlimactic. I enjoyed the end of the movie, but I really wanted the Hulk fight to be the third act. I was expecting during the second act that Peter was going to get Jean Grey on his side, kind of like he did in the third act. They could have done the Aunt May scene and had a heartwarming moment. And when she did the mind control for the whole city, it let the Hulk out again. And I was expecting the Hulk to come back. And I was expecting Jean Grey and Peter Parker to fight the Hulk together. I was really rooting for the Hulk in this movie. I loved the conversation between Professor Banner and Peter Parker. I felt like Bruce Banner felt like a totally different, wise character in this film. And when they were talking about targeting mRNA DNA strands, I really enjoyed that discourse between them. They both were geeky and scientific, and it just gave the vibe that Dr. Banner was a lot wiser now. Now I'm going to start talking about the other supporting characters. For some reason, they sexualize Yelena in this movie for no reason. The first time we see her, she's in the bathtub, basically naked, and they make her too funny. The comedy in this movie was perfect. It was not like other Marvel movies where the comedy was forced, but this was definitely a scene where it felt forced just a little bit. Her character development in the Thunderbolts was really good, and now she's back to being less serious and a little too funny, talking about potatoes and all type of stuff that I just didn't really care for. Now I'm going to tell you about Ned. So I enjoyed Ned a lot in this film. I didn't like his character at all in the other 3 films, and if you watch my other non-spoiler review, I made it clear that I was not happy that Ned and MJ were in this film at all. I am going to say that I enjoyed his character so much. I love how grown and mature the character is, and I really enjoyed all the scenes with the Spidey tracker when he was buying the Shark energy drink and when he was playing the Legos with Spider-Man. They were all really, really good scenes that I thoroughly enjoyed and probably wouldn't have enjoyed if it was directed by the previous director. MJ's character in this movie is another character that I really, really, really enjoyed. Her acting was way better. Her story was way more compelling. That scene when Spider-Man saw her with her boyfriend and he was swinging in the rain with no Spider-Man suit on, I love that scene. That's probably one of my favorite scenes. A lot of the tension comes from the relationship between Spider-Man and MJ, and when Jean starts to attack MJ directly, that was a very scary scene. And I love when they were swinging, when he first picked up MJ and they were swinging. I love that scene a lot. When MJ said, "We knew each other, didn't we?" I was really, really shook. I thought that she was waking up from the spell, and then they did the classic mask kiss when she lifts up the mask and kisses him and she remembers, and then it was a big plot twist. I like that scene. I don't have no issues with that scene. It definitely subverted my expectations, and it was a very dark scene. It was extremely dark. Once again, Zendaya's acting completely steals the show here. The scene where she finds the letter is very emotional, and when she says, "I don't love you and I don't even know you," that definitely had me a little bit teared up, because you feel the pain of Spider-Man, and it feels like Spider-Man 2, like the tragedy of Spider-Man. This movie definitely gave that vibe. I like what they end up doing with her character and keeping most of the relationship that they have subtle. They did a little bit too much with Ned at the end. I don't know why or how he remembers the handshake or how he got through Doctor Strange's spell. I'm not sure what that was about, but I like how they left the ending with MJ a little more ambiguous. She was more friendly towards the idea of Peter Parker and Spider-Man, even though she doesn't have the memory. You do see her holding the necklace, and you do see her having a really endearing moment in the apartment where her, Ned, and Spider-Man are just hanging out. I really like the fight scene at the end when Spider-Man goes against the Hand. I saw a little bit of the Shang-Chi fight choreography in the Spider-Man film, and I like that a lot. The hand-to-hand combat looked amazing. One of the best fights in the whole entire film, if we're being honest. The issue is that Peter Parker's mutation story arc kind of takes a back seat. You see the mutation issues in the beginning of the film. It completely disappears in the middle of the film, and then at the end, he masters his mutation, which is great, but they're putting too much emphasis on a concept that they're not diving deep enough into. I do like when Jean asks Spider-Man, "Are you Peter Parker or Spider-Man?" And he says, "I'm both." I did like that scene. I did like that part about the mutation. Some scenes that were really remarkable are the scene where Punisher dresses up as Spider-Man and distracts the audience outside by waving and yelling. That scene was hilarious. And the other scene was the one with Aunt May. I think that scene was great. It was acted very well and it was shot very well. And it did feel like a scene taken out of the old Spider-Man movies. So that scene definitely hit home for me. It didn't work well in regards to including Jean Grey. I see what they were trying to do, but it could have been a more personal moment with Peter Parker, in my opinion. So after the scene with Aunt May, Spider-Man gets shot by Punisher, and I was so ready for this scene. I came into this movie prepared to watch the death of Spider-Man. Because the Punisher was in this film, I knew that they were going to take the scene where the Punisher is holding Spider-Man and put it in the movie. I was assuming he was going to die. I thought Hulk was going to kill him, but that didn't happen. He got shot by Punisher, and I'm ready for Spider-Man to die. The Empire State Building is getting lit up. New York is mourning, and then he gets brought back to life by Jean Grey. And it's something that I didn't really enjoy at all. We already saw that in Fantastic Four when Franklin Richards brought back Sue, and I just wasn't really happy to see someone get brought back from death yet again, from someone with special powers. So I was ready to see the death of Spider-Man, and I didn't get that, so I felt let down from that as well. It doesn't affect my score for the movie because I don't allow my expectations as a comic book fan to disrupt my take on how good the movie is or how good or bad the movie is. I still give it an 8 out of 10, but I really wish that they went through with the death of Spider-Man and told a darker story that could lead into Avengers Doomsday, which is going to be a very dark movie. I will be getting into the post-credit scene in another video that I'll be releasing later this weekend. So please stay tuned into the content and come down in the comments and let me know all your thoughts about Spider-Man Brand New Day. I do give the movie an 8 out of 10, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.